All right, so today we're diving into something pretty fascinating and maybe even a little unsettling. We're talking about Machiavellianism.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
You know that term we throw around when someone's like super cunning or manipulative? Well,
Oh,
we're gonna really unpack what it means, trace it back to its roots, and see how it shows up in our world even today.
I think one of the most interesting things is that the term actually comes from a guy who lived like over 500 years ago.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Niccolo Machiavelli. He was an Italian philosopher and writer. You probably heard of his book, The Prince.
Oh, yeah, The Prince, for sure. I mean, it's crazy to think that a book written in the 1500s could still be, so relevant today.
Absolutely.
It's like Machiavelli had this, crystal ball and could see straight through human nature even way back then.
Right. And he wasn't just some writer, sitting in an ivory tower.
Yeah.
He was right there in the middle of it
Oh,
all.
really?
Oh, yeah. The political scene in Renaissance Italy, a world of crazy power struggles. I mean, we're talking backstabbing and shifting alliances.
Yeah.
His work was practically like a guidebook for rulers in that kind of cutthroat environment.
So it wasn't all just theoretical, huh? Like, he was writing from actual experience. He saw how power really worked firsthand.
Exactly, firsthand experience. And in that context, his famous quote, "The ends justify the means," it starts to make a little more sense.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Although people often think Machiavelli himself actually said that.
All right, it's usually misattributed directly to him, but it definitely captures the essence of his philosophy, I'd say.
Absolutely. So he wasn't necessarily endorsing doing bad stuff,
No, not exactly.
but he was acknowledging that power can be a brutal game, and sometimes you have to, maybe bend the rules a bit to survive.
Right, a more pragmatic, maybe even ruthless approach.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this wasn't just some ivory tower philosophy then. It was born out of the real world of power, right?
Absolutely, the realpolitik of the time.
Okay, so then how did this historical figure's ideas, morph into this modern personality trait that we're talking about?
Well, that's where the dark triad comes in.
Oh, here we go.
Machiavellianism is actually considered one of these three personality traits, along with narcissism and psychopathy.
Okay, wait. The dark triad, that sounds pretty intense.
It does, doesn't it? But it's important to remember these are just tendencies that, we might see in everyday life.
Okay, but break that down a bit more for me. What exactly do those terms mean in this context?
So like narcissism, in this case, we're talking about someone with a really inflated sense of their own importance.
Uh-huh.
And they need constant admiration.
Okay.
Psychopathy, that's characterized by a lack of empathy, no remorse, and they often act impulsively. And then, there's Machiavellianism, all about manipulation, deceit, and that willingness to exploit others to get what they want.
Okay, wow. So we're not just talking about some historical figure anymore. We're talking about people we might actually work with, be friends with, or even be in relationships with.
It's true.
It's a little unsettling, to be honest.
It can be.
But I guess recognizing these tendencies, like you said, that's the first step to protecting ourselves. Yeah.
Right. Setting boundaries, yeah.
Okay, so what sets a Machiavellian individual apart then? What are the signs?
Well, they're usually very opportunistic.
Uh-huh.
Like, if they see a chance to get ahead, they'll take it.
Right.
Very calculating. They're always thinking several steps ahead.
Oh, like they're playing chess with the world.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
everyone else is just a pawn in their game.
Wow.
And that brings us to, the core of it all, manipulation.
Ooh, yeah.
They know how to push people's buttons,
Hmm.
play on their emotions, twist the truth, all to get what they want.
And that's where it gets really interesting and kind of scary.
It is.
How do they actually do it? What are their tactics?
Well, one of the most effective is just using rhetoric and charm.
Okay.
Think of a really charismatic politician. They give a speech, everyone's captivated, seems genuine, heartfelt, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it could all be a really well-crafted act.
Oh, yeah, to sway public opinion.
Exactly.
Mm.
They're tapping into our emotions, making us feel like they understand us,
Mm-hmm.
and then using that to influence our thinking.
It's insidious almost.
It can be. And then there's, deception and misinformation.
Oh, yeah, that's huge these days.
Huge,
Mm.
especially with fake news and all the online propaganda. Machiavellian figures thrive on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they create confusion, manipulate information, spreading rumors, twisting the facts, even making up stories to discredit their rivals, control the narrative, the whole 9 yards.
So it's not just being clever or persuasive, it's intentionally distorting the truth for power.
Right, playing a game of control.
Yeah.
And information is their weapon.
Wow. Okay, I'm starting to feel like I need to watch my back here.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
So, what other tricks do they have up their sleeves? So, we were just talking about how Machiavellian folks, they love to twist the truth.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they're always playing this mental chess game,
Right.
always thinking a few steps ahead. But it's really interesting how this like actually plays out in real life.
You're right. It's one thing to talk about these tactics in theory,
Right.
but seeing them in action, that's what really makes it hit home.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Like take the classic Machiavellian move, divide and conquer.
Whew. Yeah, divide and conquer. That one always makes my skin crawl a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like watching someone, pulling strings, turning people against each other.
It is. It's like they're a puppeteer.
Yeah,
And it plays on this really deep need we all have,
yeah.
that need to belong, to be part of a group.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And a Machiavellian person, they get that.
Right.
And they use it. They sow discord, create these rifts between people, and it weakens their rivals.
Oh, so they break down their support system.
Exactly.
Wow, that's so sneaky.
It is.
And it can happen anywhere, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Not just in politics, but also in our workplaces, our friendships,
Oh, yeah.
even in families, probably.
Definitely families, too.
Yeah.
It's that old saying, united we stand, divided we fall, right?
Mm.
Machiavellian person, they know that.
Right.
They might spread rumors, pit colleagues against each other, even manipulate family members
Just to create
to
conflict.
create conflict
Yeah.
and to solidify their own position.
It's like they get a thrill out of the chaos, don't they?
Maybe. It's not just about causing trouble, though.
Okay, yeah.
They're also masters of negotiation,
Oh, negotiation.
which,
Oh,
isn't a bad thing in itself.
right.
A skilled negotiator, they can actually make things better for everyone. Win-win situations.
Oh, like everyone benefits.
Yeah. But for someone who's Machiavellian, it's just another way to manipulate.
Ah, I see. I see. So they're always looking for that angle,
Right.
that way to get the upper hand.
They might use pressure tactics, make promises they don't intend to keep. They might even act weak
Oh, wow.
just to get their opponent to back down.
That's crazy.
And they're good at reading people.
Oh, yeah. They're like super perceptive, aren't they?
Very perceptive. They pick up on those little cues,
Right.
and they know exactly how to use them to their advantage.
It's all about control for them.
Control, yeah.
It's kind of creepy how good they are at reading people, though.
It can be a bit unsettling.
It's like they have X-ray vision,
Right.
seeing right through our, facades.
Right. And then there's emotional manipulation.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's a whole other level.
That's where it gets really personal.
Right.
Because they're preying on our insecurities, our fears,
Right.
playing the victim, making you feel guilty,
Uh-huh.
even threatening you to get their way.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I think I've actually experienced that. I had a friend who was always making me feel bad if I didn't do what she wanted. Like, looking back, it's obvious she was manipulating me.
It happens. It's more common than you think.
It is, huh?
And it's hard to see it when you're in it.
Right, right.
But, the important thing is that a good relationship is built on respect and trust.
Oh, for sure.
When someone's always using guilt or fear to control you, that's a big red flag.
Yeah, definitely a warning sign.
Definitely.
So how do we protect ourselves from those emotional manipulators? It feels like they're always one step ahead.
Well, awareness is key.
Okay.
The more you understand their tactics, the more you'll start to see the patterns,
Recognize them.
recognize them. And remember, you have the right to say no,
Oh, yeah, set those boundaries.
set boundaries, don't give in to their demands, don't let them control your feelings.
It's like taking back your power.
Exactly. And sometimes the best thing you can do is just walk away.
Really?
Yeah. If someone's constantly manipulating you,
Hmm.
maybe it's time to rethink that relationship.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we've talked a lot about the dark side of Machiavellianism.
We have.
But can these traits ever be used for good?
That's a good question.
Or is it always just about, manipulation and self-interest?
It's important to remember, not every Machiavellian act is like evil,
Right, right.
Think about someone who's really good at negotiation.
Okay, yeah.
They might be able to use those skills to get a good outcome for everyone.
Oh, a win-win, like you were saying.
Exactly. A win-win.
So it's like they're using their powers for good.
Yeah, maybe not superpowers.
Yeah.
But you get the idea. It comes down to intention.
Oh, okay.
How are they using their power
Hmm.
to manipulate or to make things better?
Okay, yeah. That's an interesting point. So how do we tell the difference then?
How do we tell the difference?
Between a Machiavellian, mastermind who's up to no good and someone who's just, strategic, ambitious.
Ah, that's the tricky part. And that's what we'll dive into right after this.
Oh, can't wait. Feels like we're about to, like, crack the code of Machiavellianism.
I think we are
Welcome back.
back to Machiavellianism.
Come a long way, haven't we?
We have.
We started, like, way back with Machiavelli himself, saw how his ideas turned into this modern personality type.
Right. And then we got into those, well, kind of unsettling tactics that Machiavellian folks use.
Exactly. But okay, let's get down to brass tacks. How do we actually spot these master manipulators in real life?
That is the question, isn't it?
It feels like they're always a step ahead.
They can be very subtle, very charming, but there are some things to watch out for.
Okay, give us the goods. What should we be looking for?
Well, one of the biggest things is this disconnect
Disconnect.
between their words and their actions. Do they practice what they preach? If someone's always saying one thing but doing another, that's a big red flag.
Oh yeah, like actions speak louder than words.
Exactly. And it's not just the big stuff either. Pay attention to how they treat other people, especially people they see as, less powerful. Are they respectful? Or are they dismissive, condescending, even manipulative?
Oh, so it's like they see people as tools.
Yeah, tools to be used,
Hmm.
not as individuals who deserve respect.
Right. That's messed up.
It is. They might be charming to your face, but if you see them mistreating others, that's a huge warning sign.
Okay, so like if someone's always gossiping about coworkers, taking credit for other people's work, throwing people under the bus, those are all bad signs.
Definitely. And see how they handle conflict. Do they try to find a solution that works for everyone? Or do they go straight to guilt trips, threats, those kinds of manipulative things?
It's like they always have to be in control, even if it hurts everyone else.
That's right. They do. And here's another thing. Watch how they react to criticism
Okay.
or when someone pushes back. Do they take it well? Or do they get defensive, aggressive, blame others?
So if someone can't handle being questioned, that might be a sign.
Could be. Remember, these are people who often have a pretty fragile ego. They need to be in control. When that control is threatened, they can get unpredictable.
Yikes. Okay, so we've got some good tips on spotting these tendencies. But what can we actually do to protect ourselves from being manipulated? It feels like we're always playing catch up.
I get it. It can feel that way.
Hmm.
But remember, knowledge is power. You're already a step ahead just by being aware of these tactics.
Yeah.
The next thing is setting boundaries
Boundaries.
and standing up for yourself. Don't be afraid to say no. Push back if someone's asking too much. And if you see manipulative behavior, call it out.
So we don't have to be like passive in this whole thing.
Nope, you don't. You can take your power back.
I like that. Take back your power.
And don't play their game. Don't get sucked into arguments. Don't try to fight for control. Just stay calm. Stick to your principles. Don't let them mess with your emotions.
Like, don't feed the trolls.
Exactly. And if you find yourself in a situation where someone's really manipulating you or taking advantage, don't be afraid to get support.
Okay.
Yeah, talk to friends, family, maybe even a therapist. Having that support system, that's huge, especially when you're dealing with someone who's trying to undermine you.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes you need that outside perspective.
You do.
Yeah.
And just remember, you're not alone in this.
Okay.
Machiavellianism, it might be more common than we like to think, but that doesn't mean we have to be victims. Know the tactics, set boundaries, and you can navigate the world with confidence.
Wow, this has been so eye-opening. I feel like I've learned a ton about Machiavellianism, from the history to how it shows up today. But the best part is we've got these tools now to help us spot these manipulators and protect ourselves.
It's been great exploring this topic with you. It's fascinating, even if it is a little unsettling sometimes.
So as we wrap up, I just want to leave our listeners with one last thought. Machiavellianism, it's a part of the human experience, sure. But it doesn't have to define us. We can choose to act with integrity, empathy, to be real.
That's right. True power doesn't come from manipulating people. It comes from building real connections, trust, working together.
That's a great way to put it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Machiavellianism. Until next time, stay curious, keep exploring,